the baddest man in hip-hop. He played a dangerous game until he found a new hustle.
I just want to say to all my fellow hip-hop artists and hip-hop fans that we have been had again.
Damn.
We've been bamboozled.
Hoodwinked.
Led astray, I tell you.
All the Malcolm X words.
Once again, you know what I'm saying? Now, a few of y'all might have already heard about this, about how the music industry has very close ties with the private prison system.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because the music business has invested millions of dollars in the private prison system. Again, the music business and the entertainment business in general, meaning people who control the media, the music industry, and also
publication,
private prison. The respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates.
Mm-hmm.
The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons. I asked him why was he involved with something so corrupt, and he replied, it's bigger than the music business and nothing we'd want to challenge without risking consequences. This person actually ended up leaving the music industry after this happened. A few years after this, he ended up leaving the music industry.
Okay.
And he said he just, like, you know, over the years he just felt guilty because he said as he sat back and he watched these plans come to a reality
over 2 decades,
he sat back and was like, wow, they really pulled it off.
Yeah.
They really pulled this off. He was like, they were told not to sign any more political rappers, any more rappers that had messages in their music.
No positivity.
It was all to be gangster rap music that they promoted and put out.
Look where we at in 2017. Did you think that niggas would really be wearing dresses and beads in their hair and all that shit?
No. Music now, like I tell people, like music now, what they did was they flipped it on us. They turned music into crack. So what crack did in the 80s was like, it made a lot of people rich, but the damage it did is far more greater.
Because back when this all first came out, people didn't believe the CIA was bringing drugs in.
I didn't believe it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, even when Gary reported the story and I was like, oh, this guy Gary, what is he talking about? I was involved with the CIA and no way. It wasn't until the CIA themselves told me that they were involved and put out their report. I mean, that was when it really hit me that, hey, Gary was right, you know, because I mean, it was just hard for me to believe. How can a little guy like me, who wasn't supposed to succeed, couldn't read, couldn't write, high school dropout, I mean, how could I, you know, be involved with something this big? I mean, it was just like totally shocking to me, I'll be honest with you. You know, when I was in prison, I did a lot of thinking back, and I can remember when before I started selling cocaine, you know, they started coming out with movies like Superfly and almost like priming you up for this lifestyle that you're about to get into. So when my friend comes and shows me cocaine, I'm interested because I saw Superfly.
What you hit is key. The CIA's now declassified that. Rock and roll, the drug culture. The CIA delivered the first suitcases of LSD. White kids weren't smoking marijuana. They delivered it. I mean, it's incredible. They primed the whole deal.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like they get your mind ready so that when you get the opportunity that you're interested in.
It's called predictive programming. Other points you want to make, and then I know you want to get into hip-hop, that you say is the new crack cocaine epidemic culture war machine. And then I've got some amazing testimony I can give you on that exact fact, backing up what you have to say. Tell folks what you told me off air.
Well, I believe that what they've done is they've taken hip-hop and they've made it glorious to be a drug dealer. You know, when I sold drugs, I hid. I didn't want anybody to know I sold drugs. But now they got these guys who've never sold drugs, technically. You know, one guy was a correctional officer who goes by the name of Rick Ross now. He took my whole identity, and the court said that he could do it. That he could prance around the country and say that he's me and take my whole life and use it, and there was nothing I could do about it. I can't stop him.
He even grew a beard just like you.
Everything. So now they take these guys, and these guys say, well, I got to the position that I'm in right now today by selling drugs. So the message that it tells our kids is that if you go out, you sell drugs, then you can become a great rock star like myself and never go to prison. And I think that that's a false message to be given people who feel hopeless.
And notice they don't indict the people that are fake and claim all that. No, they want them out there like a lanternfish has that light to get the little fish to swim over so they can eat them.
Exactly, and that's what I believe. I mean, if I were to go on tape and say, oh yeah, I sold 300 kilos of cocaine, and now you got me admitting that I did that, they would indict me for it. But the way they doing it now, they saying it's just art form.
Greater. So what they doing with music now is like, here, crack in the 80s. We gonna fuck up their whole generations to come because we gonna dumb them down with here. It's gonna make them feel good now, and it's gonna make a few of y'all. It's gonna make a few of y'all rich.
But the majority of y'all gonna be fucked up.
It's gonna fuck up y'all generation.
If you really want to be honest, you know what I mean? The suspect allegedly robbed somebody. I ain't robbed nobody. If I allegedly robbed somebody, how they gonna charge me with attempt robbery? If I attempted to rob him, I didn't rob him. So what the fuck was I locked up for?
The parallels that exist between both the rapper 50 Cent and the original 50 Cent are ironic to say the least. The parallels that exist between both the rapper 50 Cent and the original 50 Cent are ironic to say the least.
The parallels that exist between both the rapper 50 Cent and the original 50 Cent are ironic to say the least.
This candid profile clarifies many of the myths that surround his much maligned exploits and the sketchy details that led to his untimely demise. G-A-N-G-S-T-A Gangsta. This is the true life story of Kelvin 50 Cent Martin, the street legend who inspired the biggest name in rap, the original 50 Cent.
New York's brutal crack cocaine epidemic that one man terrorized the city's most notorious gangsters. Armed with a bulletproof vest and an arsenal of weapons. Armed with a bulletproof vest and an arsenal of weapons.
Armed with a bulletproof vest and an arsenal of weapons.
He killed, robbed, and extorted many of Brooklyn's biggest hustlers.
Yo, you know what this is, boy? For real, the art of getting robbed. This is how we do Brooklyn style, boy. You know what I'm saying?
R.I.P. B.I.G. Nigga R.I.P. B.A.C. R.I.P. Enough of that shit, it's time to OD. One time.
But y'all can take it how you want it, word.
Hey yo, the bottom line is, I'm a crook with a deal. If my record don't sell, I'm a rob and steal. You better recognize, nigga, I'm straight from the street. These industry niggas is starting to look like something to eat.
50 took only 2 weeks to record his debut, but the label let it languish for 2 years. In 1999, he channeled his frustration into a lyrical assault on the biz.
Hey yo, the bottom line is, I'm a crook with a deal. If my record don't sell, I'm a rob and steal.
A track about mugging music stars called How to Rob.
See a rob pun without a gun, snatch his piece and run. Just kid weigh 400 pounds, how you gonna catch me, son?
What do you have out right now?
I got a new single out called How to Rob.
I'm about to stick Bobby for some of that Whitney money.
I wrote the lyrics in like 45 minutes.
That's from your heart, that's how you feel?
Yeah, that's, you know, it's a little it's like comedy based on reality.
Your beeper going off.
He was like, all right, this industry is not letting me eat, they're not letting me in. All right, I'm gonna rob everybody in this industry and let you know I'm coming.
What nigga just sold, like 4 million, got something to live for.
When I heard the record, I was like, wow, this guy's gonna make a lot of enemies. This guy's crazy.
The single was a sensation. DMX, Big Pun, the Wu-Tang Clan, and Jay-Z all fired back.
Go against Jigga, your ass is dense. I'm about $1, what the f is 50 cents?
That right there, that's when everybody was like, all right, Jay just said his name.
50 cents.
He's official.
Bragging that one day he would either get rich or die trying. Bragging that one day he would either get rich or die trying.
Bragging that one day he would either get rich or die trying.
Most knew him simply as 50 Cent. When 50 was in the house, it was like the Wild West came with him. Man, I mean, this boy was so fierce that he had 2 long barrel revolvers with him, trademark. Always had him. He was like a modern day gunslinger. His lethal teenage reputation was for living La Dolce Vita. But not only that, he had a bloodthirsty aura to go along with it. Some people say he liked robbing fat cats, pimps, hustlers, other dealers, and also purportedly rap celebrities.
Whatever it was that made Kelvin Martin tick. Eventually, a stint on New York's Rikers Island seemed inevitable. Locked up in the facility's infamous C-74 Juvenile Detention Center, young Kelvin Martin found himself in harsh but familiar territory. The first stop on what seemed to be the path of a career criminal. 50 Cent held his own amongst the band of teenage wolves that ran the jailhouse. One of 50's prison mates was James Roseman, aka Jimmy Henchman.
When I met him in jail, I didn't even hear nothing else about him until after he left, the penitentiary. The scenario was kind of, I ran, C-74 on the Jamaican side, on the West Indian side, and who he was running with was a bunch of Bed-Stuy and Brownsville guys.
So when y'all seen each other, there was a mutual respect there?
50 was one of them cats who, not knowing who I was, and I had some jewels on.
Stop playing, you tried to press you.
He didn't even try to press me. The fact was that I seen him talking to a few dudes trying to ask him who I was and why was I allowed to have so much jewelry on in C-74.
Say word.
So in fact, that's what made me kind of notice him.
What's up? I'm up 6:30 in the morning, getting my hair cut, watching a movie. Check this shit out, The Henchman Trial. No, Jimmy, you rat bastard!
50 Cent the rapper, he'll be known as 50 Cent the rapper, and 50 Cent the street legend will be known as 50 Cent the street legend. There's no comparison. To me, that's a great honor to know that I knew that person who influenced that. I'm not living the fantasy of the music business.
Not long after 50 Cent got home from prison, he got back into the same old rackets, but stepped up his game by linking up with a crew local hustlers called the Supreme Team.
There was a crew called the Supreme Team for Fort Greene. That's where 50 Cent and the original 50 Cent originated from.
What it was, we was all friends and family. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, Rap, Supreme are my dudes. And these dudes were under Rap and Supreme.
From the Lugo brothers in Fort Greene to the Supreme Team that ran with 50 Cent and the whole crew.
If you go back and look at the history, and on our Paid in Full album, 50 Cent is on the back of our Paid in Full album. You know what I'm saying? Supreme, Rap, you know what I'm saying? 50. You know what I'm saying? Those were their dudes. You know what I'm saying? Supreme and Rap, those are my dudes. And this was an extension of the family.
He didn't have any parents. He didn't have no upbringing. He was raised basically in the street.
Rap was 50's mentor. You know what I'm saying? And Rap taught 50 all about the streets and the ins and outs of the streets.
Born Kelvin Martin on July 24, 1964, to a single mother who was at odds with Kelvin's father, 50 Cent was a precocious child with a penchant for reading. At the age of 8, Kelvin's mother penned a note to the youngster and sent him alone on a 2-hour bus ride to the home of his paternal grandmother.
50 Cent was born Curtis James Jackson III on July 6, 1975 in Jamaica, Queens. His mother, Sabrina, was just 15. He never knew his father.
I asked my mother one time, we was in the park. I saw a little boy throwing the football back and forth with his father. And I said, why I don't got no father, Mom? And she said, because you was special. He was born to the Immaculate Conception. Like Jesus, boy. Now go play.
Sabrina moved out of the house shortly after Curtis was born. He was raised by his grandparents, who had 9 children of their own.
As Curtis Jackson grew into his own thuggish reputation, drama followed him wherever he went. Raised without a father, he lost his mother to a senseless murder. It is widely rumored that she lost her life in a beef over a debt owed to members of the Supreme Team that controlled most of the drug dens up and down Jamaica Avenue. Oddly enough, this ensuing crew from Queens allegedly took its name in part from the Supreme Team in Brooklyn that dominated much of the illicit activity in and around the Fort Greene area, and who the original 50 Cent ran with a decade earlier.
What was wild is I didn't think of the name and then made the record. Like, but a lot of people, just so happens that the first record that I put out that was notable was How to Rob. His presence is definitely bigger because I chose to use that name.
Why has 50 become a street legend?
I guess with the rapper 50 Cent, you know, saying that he got his name from this guy from Fort Greene, and, you know, not just to say because of him, he has always been internationally known before the rapper. But I guess he just put a little more icing on the cake.
Beef got so deep for Kelvin in the streets of Brooklyn, he took refuge in the one place he could hide, the United States Army.
He stayed in the Army about 6 or 7 months, maybe about 6 or 7 months, enough to go through basic training and then to have some type of job function while in the military.
However, the long arm of the law eventually caught up with him down in Fort Benning, Georgia. Fulfilling a warrant on an outstanding felony, he was honorably discharged and brought back to New York to face charges on yet another robbery. He would also have to face some of his old demons as well. Now literally a trained killer, 50 Cent was even more dangerous. With his back to the wall and a new bag of tricks he picked up from boot camp. And a new bag of tricks he picked up from boot camp.
And a new bag of tricks he picked up from boot camp.
At 17, Curtis was busted again when cops searched his home and found heroin, cocaine, and $15,000 in cash. The charges could have sent him to prison for 9 years, but as a teenager facing his first felony, he was offered an alternative. Shock incarceration. 6 months in a military-style boot camp.
I think it definitely changed him. He knew more. He knew the system. He knew how things worked.
And a new bag of tricks he picked up from boot camp. And a new bag of tricks he picked up from boot camp. He was much more proficient with a firearm and more willing to take the life of anyone who got in his way or threatened him or his family.
I remember 50 being shot in the mall. 50 had robbed the dude's brother like maybe a month before that, him and one of his partners. So the guy came back and robbed 50's partner. Then 50 and this other kid came in Albany Projects and shot a hole through the dude's door. Like knocked on the door and waited for somebody to come and just shot a hole through the people. So when 50 saw the guy, brother in the mall, he thought it was the dude he robbed. Because the brothers look alike, and he tried to approach the young boy. And that's when the kid shot 50. I don't know how long he stayed in the hospital, but that still ain't changing, because when he came out, he was still doing his same shit. I think that might have made him crazier, being shot and not killed.
Why so?
Because usually if you get shot and it don't kill you, you think you're invincible.
He had gotten shot and people believed he was dead. And he just left it that way until he decided to really come back out.
May 24th, 2000. Something finally caught up with 50 outside his grandmother's house in Queens.
She was going out the door, in which I went out behind him.
My son was in the house, my grandmother was in the front yard.
I stopped to weed the flowers.
50 got into the back seat of a friend's car. Another car pulled up beside them.
It happened that fast.
I hear something shooting like firecrackers. I thought it was kids. I was going to yell at them. But when I see this guy pointing in the car, and I says, oh, that's the car my grandson got in.
50 reached for his gun, but it wasn't cocked.
When I put the gun out the actual window, he shot down at my hand and moved away. So I got hit my thumb and came out the top of my pinky. That's why I ain't got no knuckle on my right hand.
He was also hit in his face, his legs, 9 bullets in all. Fired at close range.
I can't give you the movie moment because I didn't look down the barrel of the gun.
In the spring of 2000, 50 Cent was on the cusp of rap stardom when he was ambushed outside his grandmother's house in Queens and shot 9 times.
Shanika Tompkins is the mother of Marquise, 50 Cent's son. They've been really going at it recently, and now she's saying that 50 Cent was not shot as many times as he claims that he was. And in fact, she's even quoting stuff basically from the police reports, and she's saying, you know what, it's public records. In other words, encouraging us, giving us a little nudge to go and do a little bit of research ourselves. I'm not going to do that today. What I'm going to read to you is what she said on Twitter. She said, and I quote, "No one wants to live where they are. They all want to be in a fantasy world." Now, I don't know whether or not that was about 50, for sure. But here's what she said. 113 precinct, public record, signature and all, hashtag hit factory. 1 in the face, 1 in the right hand, 1 on the hip, 2 flesh wounds on the leg. Simple arithmetic equals 5, not 9.
That must have been this, maybe this one, this one, and this one. Those 3. And then maybe like this one right here. And then and all of these shits right here that I got. This is just, it's a myth. It's a myth.
It's a myth.
Right? My whole fucking hip from here to top of my knees broke. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, maybe it was. I don't remember.
All right. So, and what do you think, like the rap game now? What do you think of hip hop in general as a whole, like the state of hip hop right now?
You know, I think like let's take for instance Curly. I'm one of the dudes that didn't get shot 9 times. Well, really, he got shot 3 times and lied, but he got shot 3 times. Took advantage of the quick success and became big.
It's like one of them kind of things, like, not you. Like, you can't say, you know, he has created this persona, this 50 Cent character. I call it a character.
You don't know this person?
No. It's just, it reminds me of CB4. No, I don't know this person.
Wow.
John, his Murder Inc. partner Irv Gotti got defensive, questioning 50 Cent's street credibility by calling him a snitch who had filed an order of protection against the Murder Inc. family.
What I'm holding in my hand is an order of protection for Irving Lorenzo to stay away from Curtis Jackson. That's 50, y'all. AKA 50, or AKA informant, AKA I'm telling. 50 had, actually he had a song called Ghetto Quran back then. I told him actually, although the concept was hot, and I told him that wasn't a very good idea, you know, to put that out, you know.
What was his response to that?
He didn't do it at that time. But 50 actually, you know, as he goes along, 50 is one thing. He might respond one way at a time, but in 50's mind, 50 does what 50 wants to do, you know, right or wrong.
It's like where it might have been people that liked Ja Rule, but now that he's going at 50, they love 50, so now they're not even liking Ja Rule no more.
I wouldn't give the whole battle thing to Ja. I give the edge to 50. 50 just keep coming, keep coming.
Because this is what he does, yo. This is what he does. I could tell y'all a whole story and give you a background. Because I know, you know, a lot of people out there see this rough and tough, the toughest dandada that ever set foot in America, right? You know, when you get shot up in front of your house, that's the highest form of disrespect. Niggas have no respect for who you are or what you say you can do or anything like that when niggas pop you up in front of your crib. So now you got a nigga that's laying on his deathbed and he's saying to himself, yo, I can't go back to the hood. You understand? Niggas pop me in front of my crib, I can't go home. You understand? Like, niggas know I'm there. So, you know, he's laying up for 6 months or whatever, however the case, however long he's laying up, and he's already fit a profile. He's already told on Murder Inc. for getting beat up in the hit factory, stabbed up in the hit factory maybe a month ago before he gets shot up. So he fits a profile. So now the police go see him while he's in this hospital bed damn near dying. They go see him. Son, what are you gonna do with your life? You can't go back there. They're gonna kill you. Do your rap thing, son. That's what you wanna do, right? You wanna rap? Do your rap thing. Talk to us, we'll protect you. You can do your rap thing. No one's gonna touch you. No one's gonna bother you. Just give us a few names. Now, to a nigga that's in that situation, sitting up for 6 months, it starts to sound like a pretty good deal. You understand what I'm saying? And now, the police start to protect him. You know, the shootout happens when the shit happened with Jay. They ran to wherever he was, I heard, and you know, hope nothing's gonna come here next, you know, that type shit. You understand? Then he blows up. So now he's funding the police. Now they're not only protecting him, they're a part of his gang. He's funding him, he's paying the guys that are around him now, and he's giving them good bread. I've heard the numbers. So you gotta understand where this all starts to take a nasty little turn and twist.
We were talking Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Right.
You guys were making stuff together, then you were beefing. Everyone always wants to know, is it real beef, is it not?
That's my junior. That's my son. You know, he has 50 Cent tones in the things that he does. You know what I mean? And like when I told him, I said, yo, you can't be arguing with everybody. In my office, the first time we met, he was like, why? You do it. And then I said, oh shit, I do kind of do it sometimes.
Bring us into the world of what Masons are about. And an Eastern Star is the female to Masons.
Right.
I did not know that she's an Eastern Star. Tell us about Masons first.
Okay. The Masons, like, you know, they're a little secret society of people. And them and the Jews, they sit back and they feel that they make the decisions on what going on in the world today. But they could plan, but Allah is the best of planners. So what's going on is, like, it goes from the presidency to the music industry to the courts. But let's talk about the music industry for a minute.
Okay.
All right, now, you got a lot of these cats, if you hear them in their rhymes, a lot of them is spitting the language, and they're really nothing but puppets for the bigger people. And, you know, everybody knows about these people, but everybody's scared to speak up. In that little circle, you all know that you have to be sworn to secrecy.
Yes.
So it depends on what type of level you in this thing, to whereas how you have to be sworn to secrecy. These rappers, they know how to get. They got to be sworn to secrecy by homosexuality.
Is an Eastern Star supportive of the homosexuality by way of partaking in lesbianism?
Both.
Okay.
Turning dudes out and all kinds of things. That's all they're about. Sex, drugs, and cash.
Okay, wow. The biggest secret then within the Mason organization is the homosexuality.
Of course, they don't want that to be exposed. That's why they don't want me talking. That's why they do what they do, so as I don't have no voice, because they know.
Let's start naming names.
What do you mean? Jay-Z, Puff, 50, Russell Simmons. Where you want to go with this thing?
I'm not surprised. Keep going. I'm flinching. I'm poofing up my hair, everybody, in that way of saying, look, he's not saying anything new to me. Go ahead, world.
Exactly. All them dudes, man. All them dudes, but...
Ja Rule and 50. What's that all about?
Wow. You know they beefing over a homo.
Shut up. I mean, keep talking.
Yeah, they beefing over a homo.
Is this transvestite?
I wouldn't know.
What was that stuff that was printed in the paper?
About what? With me and Loose Change?
Yes. What is Loose Change?
50 Cent. You know what he do. You know, he's working with them people. So, you know, they have people in high places. So, you know, he was shook. I don't know what happened to him that night, but he threw my name all up in the mix. And it was him that did that. It was him that put my name all up in the mix.
And tell me more about 50 Cent and Ja Rule.
I mean, what is there to talk about?
And Ja Rule and DMX. X?
I don't really know the situation of what's going on with him and DMX, but
okay.
I know him and Loose Change, you know, they beefing over a homosexual.
Yeah.
That's what they beefing over. They're both dealing with the same dude.
I never was trying to be intimidated, because that gets your head blown off.
Shortly thereafter, Curtis Jackson almost had his head blown off when he was shot 9 times as he sat in the car in front of his grandmother's house in South Jamaica, Queens. Word on the street was that someone associated with either Supreme or Murder Inc. was involved in the plot, that this man, Darryl Baum, aka Homicide or Homo for short, was the trigger man. Homo, a known killer and rumored to be a paid hitman, ironically was a friend of the original 50 Cent. Ironically was a friend of the original 50 Cent.
Ironically was a friend of the original 50 Cent.
Well, it seemed at one point like y'all was, I mean, not friends or nothing, but it seemed like y'all had kind of moved past it.
I'm past it now. Like, I'm not.
You guys were on the airport. Were what? Like in first class together, like in the same row.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk at all? I mean, not talk, but did you guys acknowledge?
You want the true story? Right? I'm on the plane. He comes on the plane. Now, I'm on my phone doing something. So I see like a big dude coming on the plane and shit. So I look up to see who the big dude is, big black dude. And I'm like, okay, looks like some type of security dude, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking now to see who's with the security dude. It's him. You know what I'm saying? So he sees me, I see him. He looks at me, he's like, yo, what up? I'm like, all right, what up? Go back to doing what I'm doing. He goes and sits down in his seat. I'm in my seat. No more words were said, no more nothing, no more anything.